Right, part 4 of the investigation. Just continuing this investigation. And the Hormians. Now, there's interesting stuff about Africa here, I read. And it's, bear in mind, it's only going back to the 17th century, so that's, that's like, ties in with all other stuff, like the Bible and the discovery of the New World and all this idea, right? And the Hormians was, brought in contact with the people of serpent worshippers and ended up adopting their beliefs, which at first they despised. That's like interesting good, like, like maybe like the European ones introduced them to the trans. But then again, that could be a backwards idea. Like there's no how sort of how to put in reverse codes and that. So maybe the Europeans got the trans medicine from these the Hormians. You see what I mean? So you've got to be able to like look at it both ways and that. If you want to get the actual truth of the knowledge and that, right? But this is interesting, the knowledge, right? And at Wydor seem to still be there, like no. Of course, that doesn't look very old at all. Like, does it? Looks quite new, like. I don't know if it's meant to be old, like, or whatever. But see, as the chief centre, there is a serpent temple at Wydor. Tenanted by some 50 snakes. So of course, like a trans temple. The interesting Mommy Water or the syringe. See what I'm saying? There's got to be there, like Simon of Cyrene type of thing, It's got to be something to do with it, a large part to do with it. The Mart idea, like the Mart, and Black Lives Matter, this is Mommy Water. So you just turn the W upside down, like. And the rainbow god of the Ashanti. And then the Amazulu. Again, they pointed out in one of our videos, like, Zulus, there's a large proportion of transgenders among them. That's sort of noted, like, you know what I mean? Of course, the scene, like, there's a warrior type of thing, and that, like, from that Stanley Baker's movie and that. But, a lot of transes, so the Amazulu and the Amazons has to be quite linked. The Highlanders. Of course, the Ram again. Of course, the Maasai, like the Masons. A lot of Of course, these are woven with long sticks. And that could be something to do with the syringe idea, They're all woven with long sort of canes and that. So again, you're talking about all these and a lot of these tribes are basically trans tribes. So from that piece there where it says about that first despised the serpent stuff or whatever, maybe they created it, you know what I mean? They put in reverse codes, like, you've got to be aware of that. And of course I looked at this one before, the teapot. All this stuff's fake as. It seems to me like the proper there's the horned viper. Moses has the horns. So maybe the Moses idea based on that. You know what I mean? Again, this is look at this thing. It's specific to Northern Africa. Right? So again, you're talking about that Moses, Egypt, Africa idea, right? So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at the African stuff and I'm seeing the African stuff has an element of reality in it. You know what I mean? Where this type of garbage here is just total, fictitiously. You see here the libation vase, the drinking vessel, of course, you know what I mean? Of course, seen that one before and again, talking about a syringe like key idea and the long tails and the long necks and all that. And of course, like a dragon's face. So again, always the same stuff. Bronze Age, of course, Bronze Age has to be basically a total hex based on the bronze serpent. The whole Bronze Age idea has to be based on the syringe, right? So as you can see, all this stuff, highly full of hex. And of course, this stuff is like the most famous of the lot. The serpent, Garden of Eden, Moses, and the brazen serpent or bronze serpent or brass serpent or whatever, but always becoming in the syringe. Of course, they worship it, they worship the technology that's enabled them to become transes. Deceptive creature or trickster. Of course, that sort of, ties in with the way you have to look at it type of thing, like they're putting double, you have to look both directions type of thing, right? Because, this cunning deception idea and all that, it's all part of the codes, right? I looked at the code and that one before. Totally for the syringe. Okay, copper serpent. The snake had bitten any man. He beheld the snake of brass he lived. A total trance code. Life and the ones who don't get bitten by the snake die or dead or considered as dead, to these. So as you can see, lifted up, of course, Levite, levitated, the Levite priesthood. So I see what I'm saying. Of course, all their religions and all the same, come from the same source or the same juice, tea juice. Yeah, I've mentioned a couple of times really about the hissing noise idea, right? Obviously come from a snake or serpent, the hissing noise, which they obviously use a lot in the the cultures and that, but your word history itself, you're talking about the hissing noise, yeah. And historians, think it's a tea Rani idea with a hiss. So they're basically tea Ranis who were into this snake cult idea, like the serpent cult or the syringe cult. So you can see what it's all about. The hissing noise in that, right? Pure hex. Snakes are able to hiss thanks to a structure in the throat called the glottis. Glottis. interestingly, a hysterectomy is a surgical procedure to remove the womb, right? I wouldn't like to speculate on how many you have it done at transes or how many are natural or what have you, stuff like that, but you can see where the name comes from, right? You can see how it sort of, could possibly be something to do with that, if you see what I mean. You also have a hissing Sid idea, right? Yeah, can't say I remember this one at all, like Captain Biggie. We seem to have a hissing Sid idea. See, again, basically what's about it. But apparently it's in a swan makes a hiss and all. Like in swans are basically the royal bird and that. There's like a Sydney Cook was also known as hissing Sid. See what I mean? So you can see the cord and that right straight away, right? You also have a hissy fit idea, which is popular in culture and that. Hissy fit, angry outburst, temper, trantum. We are interpret this. It's like I think it's something to do with being in the feminine, So that would sort of tie in with the trans idea. Like an effeminacy idea, like to take a hissy fit. Hysterical, of course, hysterics. Of course, you got the idea about the SS, and this is basically set up as a boogeyman idea, like an evil idea, right? Of course, there's the hex, there's the hex, but set up as an idea, like the embodiment of evil type of thing, They look at the black and white uniforms. But the SS basically, it's like a hissing noise, So it's like, and of course, done all these fiction pieces to play on that sort of evil horror and the boogeyman ideas, right? Of course, the protective, like the guardianship idea of the snake. So you can see it's connected to the snake ideas, serpent ideas. It was always intended to, you know what I mean? So again, it's this idea of this evil giant serpent that's hovering about everywhere and all this, see? World serpent idea, so basically, you're talking about the God idea, like Godzilla and all that, giant-sized serpent that's sort of, responsible for all evil and all this. Of course, it's all hex. World serpent distribution. What's the doctor on the end of that? Of course, you'll lure them in the Bible, like Leviathan and all this. It resides at the bottom of the sea, the vision. So it's totally good to me. It seems like the idea of seems to be narrated by a serpent. The whole thing, it's like the serpent is the idea of God, what they've created, is basically a serpent idea, like a giant sea monster or something. It's just a piss take,